Hey, John Hickok here. Today we're going to do a chapter 2 on the Russian SKS. And for those of you that have been following the channel for a while, you know this is a rifle that Dad has owned for a long time. He bought this back in the late 80s, back when Metallica was in their prime, and you could buy an SKS for like $100. I mean, that was a beautiful time in American history, and I'm sad that I missed that. I was only like maybe a 1-year-old. I was born in 1988, so I was either not born or I was too young to buy a gun, unfortunately. But these things are still around. You can find them. It's just kind of rare. The Chinese version of the SKS is probably the most common one that you see around now. I know there's some Yugo ones floating around, but these Russian ones are definitely, in my opinion, the ones to have. There may be some others that are even more rare and special, but these Russian ones are neat. And this one was, of course, made in Tula. And again, it's a chapter 2 for those of you, those Hickok 45 newbies out there. A chapter 2 is basically where we bring a gun back out and we mostly shoot it, and we don't give you a big rundown on the history or anything like that. So you'll want to go back and watch the original SKS video if this is your first time hearing about this specific rifle. So, really neat rifle, again, Russian, and I'm pretty sure that this one, well, okay, so here's the thing. I did some research on this thing, and since we had it out last, and we thought that this was a real, authentic Russian SKS. Now it is Russian, but I've since, after doing some research on the internet, I discovered that it's actually just a 9130 Mosin that somebody has attached a fully semi-automatic apparatus onto. And so if you believe that, then I'm sorry, but that was just a joke. So a few of you may have seen the chapter 2 attempt of the Mosin PU sniper that I have. And I did some research on that thing and really was convinced, based on the things that I found, that it wasn't an authentic PU sniper. And I read all this stuff about how the authentic ones are very rare, and that most of them are cobbled together from different parts and aren't true authentic PU snipers. And based on all that stuff, I was like, oh, well, this one's got to be fake, And I realized that I bit off way more than I could chew on that kind of thing. Authenticating these old firearms, especially collectible ones, I mean, it's a minefield of misinformation and crazy details and all this kind of stuff. So I bit off more than I could chew with that. And if you saw that video, I want to kind of do a rebuttal. It is actually real, I believe. Now, you can never be 100% sure, but I'm 99.5% sure, because I took it down to the land of Georgia, down to Eric from Iraq Veteran 88, and he's a big Mosin expert, of course, and he looked it over. He wasn't sure at first, but he looked it over really closely, and he confirmed that PU sniper that you've seen in our videos is in fact is a real one. It's just been refurbished, basically. So, all right, just wanted to clarify the whole situation up for those of you that remember that. But we're talking about the SKS today, and it is, I believe, an authentic SKS. And I'm not even sure that this one has been refurbished. It has that look about it just because it looks new. But, if you look closely at it, it's, the finish isn't like super thick. And it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't seem refurbished. It seems new, And this particular one was made in the 50s. So, I guess it would make some sense. There was no like major wars or anything that it was used in, unless it could have gotten sent over to Vietnam or something. But it doesn't seem refurbished, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I can't be 100% sure on that. And after that Mosin experience, I'm not gonna confirm any of that kind of stuff anymore, because it's you have to be almost a historian to really nail some of that information. And I just like to shoot guns, and I'm interested in the history of them to a certain extent. But I'm kind of like that. I'm a jack of all trades, so I'm not like a super nerd about any specific category of firearms. But okay, let me fire off some of these cartouches, and then we'll go from there. All right, I think I was shooting it a little bit before the video, and I think it tends to shoot kind of kind of high. You know what's funny? I just noticed off camera, there's a cat over here, and as soon as I racked that round in, the cat took off running. Like literally, we shoot so much out here that the cat knows the sound of the action of a gun and knows to get out of the way. That's hilarious to me. Okay. All right, I'm going to start with the red plate up there on the top left. All right, I think I aimed too low. Okay, I was aiming underneath the target. I need to aim like right at the bottom of it. You notice the brass gets flung up in the air, just coming down in front of the rifle. All right, let's try the middle red plate. All right, and you get kind of that distinctive feel when the bolt locks back, just like on a lot of firearms. Of course, only 10 rounds, and kind of the standard capacity magazine on these things is 10 rounds. It's a fixed magazine, but it does flip out. Pull this little doodad back here. It comes out there, so if you had some kind of catastrophic malfunction or, a bird's nest or something in your magazine, you could just open it up, just kind of clear everything out, dump everything out, and close it back up. Similar to the Mosin. The Mosin has kind of a similar thing, but much easier to open. It's just a really big, nice lever. You can open it, and it closes pretty easily and everything. And as far as, of course, loading the SKS, because you have a fixed magazine, just like a bolt action rifle, it loads with stripper clips, and they don't have to. You can put them in individually. And of course, this fires these infamous 7.62 by 39, which is known as, a lot of people call it the Russian round or the AK round, typically, even though the AK is chambered in a few other things. This is obviously the most prominent. So look at that. Sometimes they don't want to go down that smooth. It depends on the clip. But notice that some of these are like really Parkerized, and well, none of these, because I picked these out, hand picked all these out of the box. But the ones that have a really thick Parkerization on them, they don't tend to work as well. But all right, let's shoot this target while I'm thinking about it. And I can't remember if I mentioned this or not, but this is a Tula rifle, so it's made at the Tula plant. Okay. Okay, let's see. I guess I'll need to compensate for the higher sights here at this range. I'm going to aim for the very top of the red circle. See where that puts me. Okay. All right, I'll take it. Let's smoke a little pot here. Now the Russians are more about vodka, but let's see if it'll do it. All right, eventually it did the job. It's weird how you never know what those pots are going to do sometimes. As brittle as they are, sometimes a round will just, knife right on through it. Which, speaking of knife, that's a great segue for what I'm going to tell you guys about next. Look at this cool little doodad. If you're familiar with SKSs at all, you should be aware of this. You've got this kind of blade style bayonet here, and the Chinese ones, I think a lot of them have kind of more of that, what's it called? I don't know, prong style. I don't know. Some of them may have the blade, but a lot of the ones I've seen, it's a different kind of thing. But this bayonet that stays attached to your rifle, I've always thought that was really cool. That's a really neat thing. And I mean, when I was a kid, of course, Dad had this gun when I was very young, and that always kind of attracted my attention. It's kind of fun to do too. It's simple. You just pull up on it, and you've got this little sleeve that goes around the barrel, and it kind of hooks there. Just very well designed. I mean, the Russians were known for designing good firearms. That's why they're still used all over the world, basically. They kind of, to me, it's interesting, the difference and the philosophy of the Russians, the Germans, and of course us, the Americans, and the way that we design firearms with. because I think we're kind of like you kind of have a it's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears kind of. You have the Germans, which they tend to be very highly engineered, very sophisticated, and very what's the word? More complicated, complex. It seems like with their designs. And then on the Russians, they're kind of like on the other end, very very strong and durable and well made, like the German stuff. Probably more durable than the German stuff, but a little bit cheaper, more simple, more kind of designed more for mass production. And then I feel like the American stuff is kind of somewhere in the middle. I feel like, and I've always found that kind of interesting how through all the different ages with different weapons designers, you can sort of see that trend hold true, I feel like. But the SKS is a really neat rifle. It's so much fun to shoot. It's a shame that they aren't more available, especially these Russian ones, because they're so much fun to shoot. You don't have the big high capacity magazines. Now you can add them. I mean, they make 30 round fixed magazines for these things. I don't know if there's I feel like somebody makes one where you can put an AK mag in it, but I may have just dreamed that up, because it doesn't seem like that would work without some doing something different with the stock. But you can get higher capacity magazines, but just for 10 rounds, I mean, just kind of playing around, it's still fun. And if you have clips that work well, it's not really a problem. Yeah, so that goes down there pretty good. You can reload it pretty quickly. And if the AK hadn't been developed so soon after this thing, then this would have probably been used even more than it already was. And a lot of people will say that the SKS actually is more accurate than the AK design in general. And while I've never done any serious testing to find that out, I would tend to agree. It just kind of makes sense to me. I know that if you watch an AK fired in slow motion, there's a lot of movement going on in the barrel, and I don't think you get as much of that with these rifles. But again, don't quote me on that. But they are good shooters. I can attest to that. Just nice, not too crazy recoil or anything, but you're shooting a serious round, of course. The 7.62 by 39. All right, let's take out some of these 2-liters. They've been getting off too easy. I'm going to see if I can pull one of Dad's tricks and see if I can get both of these in one shot. The one here on the post and then that other one on the log. Oh, didn't work. All right, let's try some of these bowling pins. See if I can take out this green 2-liter without hitting any steel behind it. All right, look at that. Russian gun, bowling. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh yeah, I wanted to point this out. So on the safety on this rifle, it's basically this little lever right here. It goes up and down. I've always kind of had a little bit of an issue with it. I never loved it because of the fact that, let's put the bolt down here. Okay. All right, so that way I can pull the trigger. As you're putting that down, you're getting kind of close to the trigger. So if you did that quickly, I don't know. I mean, I kind of had to try, I guess, to do that. But I mean, I don't know. It makes me a little uncomfortable the way they have that safety designed, where you're kind of right there at the trigger as you put it down, versus like on the Grand M14, you have that piece that comes through where you go in the trigger guard, but you're pushing away from the trigger. I think a safety where you're kind of using any force that goes anywhere near the front of the trigger, I feel like is maybe not the best design. So I would argue that would be kind of a design flaw of this rifle. You guys might disagree, but I think they could have come up with something a little different for that. But for the times, it's a pretty sweet rifle, I have to say. I mean, the AK, of course, kind of beats it out because, you got the detachable magazine, and then for the military, you have the full auto capability, which isn't as hard to control as people think, if you know what you're doing. So you have all those advantages. But as far as just kind of oh man, if you compared this rifle to the Garand, in the Garand, it's of course, it's you know, a big chunk of Americana and everything. And I love the Garand, but I don't know, I'd have to take this probably over the Garand, even with the smaller cartridge, because it's so easy to load, having 10 rounds, and a little bit easier to top off and everything. I mean, it's a very nice rifle for the time, you know, when it came out in the mid 40s. So pretty sweet. But it's a great range gun too. A little more trouble with that one, but yeah, these have been pretty trouble free, these clips so far in this video. All right, let's take out that last 2 liter there. I'm gonna try to hit these red plates over here on the right. Okay, I'm gonna try to get the little one there to the left of that one. All right, let's go back to the, you know what, I think there's a little piece of center block there on the barrel. Let's try that. Got it. Go back to the middle red plate. Last shot. Okay. Well, on this last clip, I'm just gonna do kind of a mag dump, I guess. I hate to use that term. It's a little bit tactical. Maybe tactical is not a term that people use anymore, is it? Okay. There we go. Couldn't get a nice steady string going, but you know, it'll crank them out. It'll do the job. But anyways, the SKS. It's a neat rifle. I grew up with this very rifle right here that I'm holding. Grew up shooting it and always liked it. And just in general, I really enjoy the SKS. If you have a chance to get one, I'd definitely recommend it. Just a great range gun. Just such a neat range gun. And like I said, soft recoiling. You know, and they're that's why Dad's got this big pad on there. They're some of them are a little bit short. So in a way, if you're a smaller person, this rifle might fit you great as is, or it's a good rifle for you know, for young kids to learn how to shoot. I mean, I shot this rifle when I was very young. One of the early rifles that I shot, actually, just because it's soft recoiling and you know, just easy to handle. But anyways, there you go, chapter 2 on the Russian SKS. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you later. Hey, how you guys doing? Just here practicing a little guitar, as you can tell. I need to get better. Just on the range hanging out. But I wanted to let you guys know while I'm here, since you guys just stumbled in on my practice session, about our friends over at SDI. You can check them out at sdi.edu. That's the Sonoran Desert Institute. They're a fully accredited online distance learning program where you can be certified in gunsmithing, or you can get an associate's degree in firearms technology. That's sdi.edu. Also, don't forget about our friends over at vaulteksafe.com. You've seen their safes, the Vaultek, on our shooting table. So don't forget to check them out if you get a chance. And also all of our other social media entities. We are on Patreon now, so you can find us on Patreon. There'll be links in the description. Just Hickok45 on Patreon. We are on Facebook, of course, Hickok45 on Facebook. You can also find Hickok45 on Instagram, the real Hickok45 at Instagram, Hickok45 on Twitter, full30.com, and then I have some social media stuff, John_Hickok45 on Instagram, John Hickok on Facebook, and there's also a Hickok45 and Son Facebook, and the Hickok45 and Son YouTube channel, of course. And I guess that's all I can think of for now. I believe that's all of our different social media things. So I guess I'll get back to my practice. As you can tell, I need to get a lot better, but I think I'm improving just a little bit. I don't know, we'll see.